Hey there, everybody. Today I wanted to dive into a super important topic that also I feel like is very underappreciated, and that is optimizing our fueling strategy, both nutrition and hydration for mountain activities. If we haven't met yet, my name is Jake Kaiser, and I'm an adventure lover at heart. And on the weekends, you'll find me skiing Colorado's peaks, hiking, climbing, mountain biking, fly fishing remote areas, you name it. And the older I get, the more I have kind of treated my weekend warrior activities and exploring the mountains like a professional athlete would. This means that I'm not only training hard, but I'm also trying to train more intelligently than I did in the past. And a big part of this is kind of dialing in my hydration and my nutrition in and around all of these mountain activities that I love dearly. Today, I am going to share the core principles of fueling for mountain adventures, as well as some practical tips and tricks that have been game changers for my own adventures in the mountains, and I hope will help you perform better as well. The first core principle is to not ignore nutrition like I used to. I think the thing that best exemplifies this was a few years ago, I was on a knife ridge and was pushing really hard that day and realized at that moment, as my legs started to cramp and my body ran out of all fuel, that I had eaten nothing besides maybe one small bar that entire day. My glycogen stores were completely depleted, my legs were cramping badly, and I had to basically crawl my way to the summit, get as much food and water as I could in me, to try to replenish my body to keep going. Back then, I had this tough it out mentality in the mountains. And since then, have learned that that approach can only get you so far. And it is definitely far from optimal and won't allow you to recover as well or push as far on that next adventure. Looking back, it's no surprise that my body needed fuel to perform at its best. And since then, I've dove in very deep into the research around training, fueling, and basically trying to optimize my weeks as well as the time before and after my adventures to get out there and hit the trail more often and hit it harder. I want to get started by looking at the overall energy demands that are just required for some of these activities in the mountains that we love. Although it depends on a lot of factors like an individual's fitness, the elevation, the complexity of the terrain, the gear we're carrying, you can easily burn 400 to 800 calories per hour doing some of these activities. And that is just a ridiculous amount of calories. If I use Long's Peak, one of my favorite local mountains as an example, that takes around 8 hours to do. And due to the complexity of the terrain, the elevation, the altitude, let's estimate that's around 600 calories per hour, which I think is actually pretty conservative for someone like myself. That is a whopping 4,800 extra calories or 21 bags of M&Ms or 19 McDonald's hamburgers that you need just to maintain like homeostasis. This isn't even talking about extra calories for recovery or anything like that. And when you really start thinking about this whopping calorie deficit you are in, you need to really start thinking about getting those calories in not only during the activity, but also before and after. With this backdrop in mind, the first key pillar to my approach for nutrition for the mountains or any endurance events is to fuel early, fuel often, and prioritize carbohydrates in and around whatever activity we're doing. Think of your body as having a fuel tank. This is primarily stored with glycogen. This is in your muscles, in your liver, and this is kind of our primary fuel for endurance activities. These stores are fundamentally limited, and usually you only have 60 to 90 minutes of glycogen ready for these kind of more strenuous activities. And when you run out of these stores without replenishing them, this is what people call bonking or hitting the wall, where you just run out of any energy or motivation to continue. And this is why our fueling strategy actually begins long before we hit the trail. And I always aim to get a meal in me 1 to 3 hours, if feasible, before starting any mountain adventure. And this is going to be something that's definitely high in carbohydrates. And also for me, I like something that just has a variety of macronutrient breakdown. My go-to is a fat breakfast burrito with a lot of potatoes and other carbs in there. But something like oatmeal and fruit is also an excellent choice. This pre-activity meal is going to make sure that your glycogen stores are fully topped out and they're ready to start replenishing as you start burning through that glycogen. This is just as important and the most challenging to do when you're getting an alpine start and getting up long before the sun rises I found that forcing myself to eat this breakfast, even when I have zero appetite whatsoever, is so important for the rest of my day and my performance out there. The second key pillar is to continuously fuel even long before you feel hungry. You want to be getting some carbohydrates every 30 to 60 minutes if possible. We're talking about things like energy gels, chews, any kind of candy, fruit, dried fruit, really anything with a lot of carbohydrates. These provide quick and readily accessible glucose to our bodies and our muscles without causing a lot of gastrointestinal issues, and they're just easily digestible. The third key pillar is to not neglect hydration, especially getting enough electrolytes. Hydration is not just about drinking water, but maintaining electrolyte balance in our bodies such that our muscles are working and firing optimally. I don't know about you, but when I'm in the mountains moving fast, I sweat a ton, and our sweat isn't just filled with water, but all of those electrolytes and essential minerals and salts that our body needs to function properly. As an example, sodium is something we sweat out a lot, and sodium is essential for our muscles actually firing. It is essential for maintaining blood volume and nerve impulse transmission. So if we sweat out a lot of sodium without replenishing that, it can lead to cramping, it can lead to issues with our muscles firing at all, cognitive decline, and all sorts of things that we don't want to deal with when we're out in the mountains. So the essential thing that we need to do here is not only be drinking water, but replenishing sodium and other electrolytes that are essential for our body working properly. And this is going to be using some kind of electrolyte powder, tabs, gels that have that, or just eating foods that have a lot of these essential electrolytes in them. Proactive hydration is key here, and the research shows that sipping fluids more often rather than large volumes less frequently is going to be better for keeping our bodies hydrated. I often like to carry a little bit of extra water when I'm going on any adventure just in case, or ensure that I have a filter and water sources, as the definition of dehydration is just a 2% loss in our body weight due to a loss of fluids, which can happen much more easily than you think when you're climbing a mountain on a warm day. The last thing I will emphasize with hydration that makes it doubly important is if you are dehydrated, your mental capacity is severely degraded and you are not going to be making the smartest choice out in the mountains. So keeping hydrated is going to ensure your cognitive function and ensure that you are making smart calls. The fourth key pillar, before we get to a ton of pragmatic tips and tricks that you can implement right today, is nailing your post-activity recovery. Our adventures might end when we see our glorious car in the parking lot. However, our bodies are still feeling the stress of those long after. So keeping with proper hydration, as we're likely a little dehydrated by the end of a big mountain adventure, and getting enough fuel for our bodies is essential. In terms of fueling, you want to make sure you have a meal pretty soon after that is kind of a mix of protein and carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates are going to maintain and restore those glycogen stores we talked about. And that protein is going to give your body the amino acid essential building blocks to start repairing the muscle and the tissues and getting yourself ready to hit the trail again in the future. With those core principles of fueling covered, let's move on to the things that have had the biggest impact on my personal life and the things that I am implementing on every adventure that I go on. Number one, we've already touched on, but that is to pre-hydrate and pre-fuel my body aggressively. Like I said earlier, I'm always having a breakfast, no matter what ungodly hour it is, and I am sipping some electrolytes and a lot of water in my car when I'm driving to the trailhead or at camp before I leave for the day. I take this really seriously and I try to get as many calories and a good amount of water in me before hitting the trail. This means that I don't have to stop as often when I first hit the trail to eat and drink, as I have the tendency to like to go fast and hate stopping for any reason. And it also means I have to bring a little bit less calories and water with me in my pack, which just means reduced weight. And I've found that even though you might start out a little bit full on those first few steps or those first few strides, having that fuel in you and being hydrated is going to set your day up for success. The next one that's been a game changer for me has been adding carbohydrates to my liquids. As I just said, I suck at eating when I'm climbing, hiking, skiing, you name it. I just want to get to the summit, maybe have a quick snack there and get back to the car. And I am just so much in the zone on my way up that I have the tendency to not stop for any reason. So I have found that putting carbohydrates in whatever I'm drinking just ensures that I am fueling my body more frequently and getting more of those easily digestible carbohydrates to provide that long sustained energy. I've also found that these liquid calories are easy on my digestive system, and I'm also combining my electrolytes into this same drink. So this one drink I'm having is checking a lot of my boxes of this fueling strategy we talked about. What this looks like for me is kind of DIYing my own drink when I'm in the mountains. These will have some electrolytes, and then they'll have carbohydrates, often in the form of maltodextrin and fructose. A lot of times I'm just using table sugar for my fructose source, and just something that, again, is ensuring I'm getting some calories as I'm sipping water on my way up the slopes. There's a lot of research around this area, but the high-level takeaway is to really optimize absorption. You want a little bit of fructose and a good amount of glucose. I tend to kind of do a 2-to-1 ratio. For most of my adventures, I found that this works well. But in the end, if you just have some table sugar handy and you put that in your sports drink or your electrolyte powder, that's a 1-to-1 ratio of glucose to fructose, and you're gonna be doing just fine with that. The next tip is to dial in your electrolyte needs and to not underestimate sodium. There was a long time where I was using some electrolyte blends that didn't have enough sodium for me, and I would still get some cramping, like that knife ridge story we talked about earlier. But now I've found that for my body, pretty heavy amounts of sodium are necessary. In the end, individual sweat rates of sodium can vary widely, and you can go and do like a study of your sweat rate. That's beyond my pay grade and beyond my needs as a weekend warrior. But I've just kind of learned through experimentation that I need a lot of sodium, and I think a lot of the electrolyte blends out there are too low on sodium for someone that is rigorously exercising in the mountains. So I found that when I make my own electrolyte blend, I go pretty heavy with the sodium, and I've found certain brands like Element, as an example, do an excellent job of having those higher sodium content electrolyte blends that work well for me. Next up, the snacks and foods that we bring along is super important. I don't want to get all of my calories from liquids. I like having some solid foods in there as well. And I've found that just finding palatable foods that you are going to want to eat is so essential here. And this might sound obvious and kind of dumb, but for someone who's ever been up really high in elevation, after a long day, you'll have this kind of crazy lack of appetite. And there's certain things that sound good and certain things that don't. For example, I oftentimes used to bring up a big sandwich with like turkey and cheese in it. But when I'm up high in the mountains, just the act of chewing that is just so unappealing. So I've wound up optimizing the snacks and food that I bring for easy to eat things that don't require a lot of chewing. So I do a lot of bars. I like gummies and kind of gel-like things. I can do a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That one works pretty well for me. But like everything we've talked about today, you just need to find the approach that works best for you and find those foods and those snacks, ideally calorie-dense ones, that you are going to want to eat when you're out on the trail. So there you have it. This is a look at my personal fueling strategy for those of you who are pushing yourself hard in the mountains. Remember that these mountain activities, especially for those of you like me who like to run a lot of them, do large mileage days, and kind of push the limits on these adventures, are extremely demanding on our bodies. And nutrition is not just like a marginal thing here. It is the thing that is fundamentally allowing our bodies to perform the way we want, for us to be thinking clearly and making the smart decisions that we live and die by out in the mountains, and allowing our bodies to recover for that next adventure. I hope this information is useful. I've learned this all the hardest way possible, but it does make a massive difference. I will bring a few videos like this to you guys in between the normal adventure content. And if there's anything specifically you want to know more about that I talked about today, please let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you out on the next adventure.